trucks have been routinely featured on the silver screen over the years. Something as iconic, as intriguing, and as mighty as monster trucks leave a memorable trademark in the eyes of moviegoers, and it's almost like that they were built for the big screen. One would think these trucks would only have certain applications, considering that not every movie is themed around a motorsport aimed at crushing cars, but directors and filmmakers have found a way to incorporate them into their films. So today we take a look at all the films that feature these mighty machines, from the Academy Award-winning films to some of the more interesting examples. This is a coherent list of monster truck cameos in movies. Without further ado, I present to you monster truck cameos in movies. Let's begin with the first ever major motion picture to feature these gigantic machines, and the movie Take This Job and Shove It, which uses the title of Johnny Paycheck's song of the same name. This movie was a 1981 American comedy film that features this iconic scene involving two legendary monster trucks. In this scene, a race is held between some lifted pickup trucks, with Everett Jasmer's USA 1 referred to as Thunder and Lightning in the film, and of course Bob Chandler's legendary Bigfoot part of this scene. It is driven by Tim Torson, playing the role of Ray Binkowski, and is used throughout the scene. USA 1 is obscured for most of this shot, with it appearing at the starting line and breaking down shortly thereafter. Speaking of the starting line, Bob Chandler, the truck's owner, plays the role of the flagman who initiates the race. Jasmer also had another truck in the film, this being his lesser known delivery vehicle, with the name Silver Bullet being given to his delivery truck. It's important to note that this scene features the trucks on 48-inch tires, as this was the standard before they converted over to 66-inch tires that we all know and love today. While this may not be the most exciting scene involving these trucks, and most definitely not the last we'll see of Bigfoot, its historical significance is important in the story of monster trucks being featured on the silver screen. Up next is one of my favorite movies with one of the most notable examples of monster trucks in movies. Rat Race is a hilarious comedy from 2001 that features a huge cast of talented actors and actresses, such as Rowan Atkinson, Whoopi Goldberg, and John Cleese. The story involves John Cleese playing the role of Donald Sinclair, who owns a Las Vegas casino, and devises an interesting way to amuse the high rollers who visit his casino. 6 teams race to a train station in Silver City, New Mexico, where a prize of $2 million awaits them inside a locker. The teams are given a key to the locker, with the first team to open the locker winning the money. Throughout the film, there are many scenes dedicated to the challenges they must go through, usually being very comedic. One such scene is our first example of monster trucks making an appearance on the silver screen. Blaine and Dwan Cody, played by Vince Violif and Seth Green, are distracted by a girl who has similar piercings, and then later flash. They then veer off the road and crash into a speedway. This speedway is hosting a monster truck event featuring a lot of different monster trucks. In these quick cuts, trucks like Jurassic Attack, Maniac, and more are driving on the outskirts of the track, with the two boys having to weave in and out and avoid being crushed. They eventually make it to the center of the infield, only to find out that they are part of the stunt with Wildfire making a huge jump. The brothers then have a painfully slow, albeit funny escape as they avoid being crushed by the truck, narrowly escaping just in time. When the monster truck crew, as well as the driver, comes to investigate the crushed cars, the boys drive off in the Wildfire truck, escaping the speedway and knocking down one of the signs, and proceeding to crush the spectators' cars. There are some other monster trucks that are in the film that don't seem to be named. However, other trucks you might know include Wild Thing, Tonka, and Way Too Cool. A favorite pastime of mine that I don't do enough of is watching movies that are so bad that they are actually kind of enjoyable. Chances are, when a movie is uploaded in full on YouTube, you know that the movie's probably a stinker. One such example is the movie Wheels of Fortune, which shows the story of Bo Jackson, played by Matt L. Jones, who must complete a series of motorsports-based challenges to inherit his father's will. One of the challenges he must complete is at a Monster Jam event, which was filmed at New Orleans in 2019.
Anaheim, California!
I'm sorry, does that look like Angel Stadium to you? That is just... okay. Jackson gets to drive the Lucas Oil Crusader, and is greeted by, "Hey, I know that guy, that's Lindsay Wink!" Unfortunately, Lindsay is only in this scene as Bo takes control of the Lucas Oil Crusader for a race. Bo doesn't really seem to be able to control the power of his monster truck as he flips over in the final turn against John Zimmer in Dragon Ice. Back in the pits, Jason and Noodle confront Bo, who is disappointed with his performance, but shortly confesses his love for Mandy, who is set to leave on a train by the time the Monster Jam event finishes. The three set off to find Mandy, and after finding the love of his life, featuring an uncomfortably long makeout scene, Bo makes it back in time for the last two competitions, which he combines into one run. Now, for whatever reason, it appears that Crusader didn't perform the best that night, so as a result, many different clips from Lindsay Wink's freestyle runs from 2019, 2018, and 2017 are spruced into the mix, with hilariously bad attempts at covering up this by making the ramp and top colors match the New Orleans setting. With this, Bo wins freestyle, and now I can safely say I'm done watching this film. Interestingly, this wasn't the only time that a Monster Jam event has been featured in a film. In the movie Waking Up in Reno, the final act of the movie features a scene from the Anaheim event in 2000. The film follows two couples who go on a road trip from their home in Little Rock to Reno. Along the way, it's revealed that Lonnie and Candy, played by Billy Bob Thornton and Charlize Theron, have been having an affair. Natasha Richardson's character Darlene is devastated, and when the couples reunite in their suite, arguments and fisticuffs take place. The previously mentioned Monster Jam event comes into play the following day, as Darlene finds the ultimate payback for Lonnie. The first part of the scene shows quick clips from the Monster Jam event that we previously mentioned, and this was the event that was shown on TNN. Of course, this footage is much clearer and from a different angle. When the couple sits down for the event, Lonnie apologizes to Darlene, only to find out that she has donated the SUV that he intended to sell on his trip back home to the giant Robosaurus machine, which demolishes their car, while the trucks only appear on screen for about 10 seconds. It is very cool to see an event we've seen countless times on TV in such high definition from a different angle. These next two films casted the trucks as the main stars of the film. Now, I will put a warning here, as some of the themes from these movies involve sensitive topics and sensitive scenes, and I have censored some of these words and some of these scenes. In Rolling Vengeance, the story follows a truck driver whose family is terrorized by drunk rednecks. The rednecks are the sons of an influential business owner, Tiny Doyle. The drunk drivers run Joey's family off the road, killing them in the process. Later, Joey's father is also killed, and Joey's girlfriend, Misty, is raped by the depraved sons. Joey has had enough of this and seeks revenge on Tiny Doyle and his drunk and depraved sons. He does this by constructing a monster truck out of junk car parts. The truck takes the form of a big rig truck, equipped with a retractable drill, flamethrower, and metal cutter. This big rig truck isn't just any truck, as this is in fact the second iteration of Mike Welch's Destroyer, which interestingly interestingly was built specifically for this film. The other film that had a truck as the main star of the show is most definitely the most bizarre inclusion of a monster truck in a movie. And unlike the last film, which portrayed the truck as the hero, this movie cast Frank Scattini's Big Dummy as the villain. Yes, someone thought it was a good idea to put a monster truck in a horror movie. My absolute least favorite genre of movie to watch. Monster Man is a 2003 comedy and horror film that features a deranged monster trailing our protagonist in a monster truck. Now, in terms of my warning from before, viewer discretion at this point is advised, and I also won't be showing a lot of clips when it comes to the end of the film, and I will be censoring a lot of these scenes and a lot of the things that I'm saying. Adam and Harley set on a road trip across the country so that Adam can confess his love to his ex-girlfriend before she gets married. Along the way, they stop at a bar where a monster truck rally is played on the TV. Harley mocks the people that watch these events with these two absolutely hilarious lines.
If a vehicle could take Viagra, a monster truck is what it would look like. Those giant tires make the trucks look like it's got blue balls.
When they get back on the road, they are run off the road by this giant behemoth, striking fear in both Adam and Harley. This fear is later repeated again when the two stop at a gas station and the Monster Man, along with his monster truck, also take a stop at the station too, somehow not waking up Harley, who is passed out in the back of the car. The Monster Man has to use the restrooms and Adam gets a peek at this creature and is immediately terrified. When Ali eventually wakes up, his first instinct is to piss in the cab, because of course it is. At the hotel, they're woken by roadkill and a hitchhiker named Sarah, who Adam at some point becomes acquainted with. They later take witness to a man who is flattened by the Monster Man's truck and hear a cautionary tale from one of its victims. Their car is later destroyed by the monster truck and are later chased into a forest where supposedly Harley is killed. Sarah is kidnapped by the Monster Man, and Adam goes to find Sarah and stumbles upon a shack covered in demonic symbols. When Adam finally finds Sarah, she knocks him out, and it's revealed here that Sarah is actually a witch who uses black magic, along with a man who has been crushed to save Brother Bob, the Monster Man who has been chasing our protagonist. They plan to use Adam as a sacrifice to Bob to keep him alive, but Adam definitely has other plans. He later escapes, slashing Sarah and defeating Bob and escaping the shack. When Bob gets up to chase Adam, he is saved by Harley, who crushes him with this monster truck. Harley, who definitely at this point has become a monster truck fan, asks Adam if he wants a turn to drive the truck, and Adam uses this opportunity to repeatedly run over Bob. Frank Scattini, the truck's owner, also made a brief appearance in the film, as he was the one-eyed bartender. Frank's ranch also was where a lot of the scenes took place, as well as nearby streets and highways. If you couldn't tell, Big Dummy, the truck used in this film, uses a completely different body than what it normally runs. Scattini used a custom tube frame with masonite boards, which were painted with sponges to make it appear as rusted metal. Interestingly, Monster Man isn't the only film to feature demonic creatures and a monster truck, as the second iteration of Zombieland features this iconic scene involving a monster truck, starring Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, Abigail Breslin, and Emma Stone. The crew embark on an adventure to the heartland of America, filled with more zombies who have become evolved and harder to kill. The truck makes its first appearance when Luke Wilson and Thomas Middleditch meet the crew for the first time at Rosario Dawson's shelter. Wilson crushes Harrelson's car, which makes him extremely angry.
Hey, mother! That's my ride!
When it turns out Middleditch and Wilson have become infected and the crew defeats those two, Harrelson moves the truck off his car and ends up smashing into it again. However, the truck's most prominent scene in the movie comes later on in the runtime, when the crew is surrounded by zombies and think that their time is up. Nevada, played by Rosario Dawson, comes to the rescue inside her monster truck called Big Fat Death, which is just honestly the greatest name I've ever heard. Eagle-eyed fans may have noticed this cool little Easter egg, as when the truck crashes into the arena, the zombie that stares up at the truck is actually played by the truck's real-life owner, Kevin King. The gang get into the truck and ride along with Nevada, who basically does a freestyle run in the arena, running over the zombies. There's even this hilariously bad CGI scene where the truck does a backflip and crushes the zombies upon landing. Also, apparently this scene is called Monster Jam, which is even more funny. This next one is the only example of an animated film using a monster truck. In Ready Player One, one of the opening acts contains a race scene where the protagonists inside the game world must race to the finish line, where along the way carnage ensues. This scene contains a lot of pop culture references, from the DeLorean from Back to the Future to the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, and yes, even King Kong. However, what makes it fit for this video is the inclusion of Bigfoot as H's vehicle of choice. The truck is fairly faithful to the real-life truck, with the only differences being its open roof and the buzzsaws that come out from underneath the truck. However, this film isn't the only time Bigfoot has made an appearance on the silver screen. In many different films, Bigfoot has been featured in live-action films. In the 1989 film Roadhouse, Bigfoot 7 is used in one of the coolest scenes involving these massive machines. Brad Wesley, played by Ben Gazzara, instructs Gary to drive through the dealership of brand new Ford wagons. The dealership owner tries to stop the truck from going through, but is later pulled away, letting this onslaught of carnage be displayed. One by one, Bigfoot 7 crushes the wagons and smashes through the windows of the dealership. Now here's some fun trivia regarding this film. This one scene cost $500,000 to film. Now that is one expensive scene. Another interesting fact is that Bigfoot 7, the truck used in the film, was initially built for Roadhouse and has also starred in another film alongside its successor, Bigfoot 8. That film is the 1989 action comedy film Tango and Cash. Starring Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell as Tango and Cash respectively, the two LAPD officers must work together to get back at their arch nemesis who is praying for their downfall. In this chase scene, the two officers flee the onslaught of bad guys who are trying to defeat Tango and Cash. Narrowly avoiding being boxed in, the two are greeted with Bigfoot 8, although it looks a hell of a lot different than it normally does. That's because there's no body on this truck, instead just its bare chassis with these side panels and a police siren on the top of the truck. In this shot, you can also see a brief appearance from Bigfoot 7 in the background with this beige design. Bigfoot also made an appearance in another film, interestingly being driven by its creator, Bob Chandler. In this scene from Cannonball Run 2, the film's director, Hal Needham, has his Porsche 928 crushed by Bigfoot in this very short scene. It later appears on the side of the road with a flat tire, as Bob Chandler appears to be frustrated that his truck is broken down. What's also interesting is the truck has its logo and branding on the side, unlike Roadhouse, where Bigfoot appears as just a big blue monster-sized Ford. That isn't the only Cannonball Run movie to feature a monster truck, as the third installment, also known as Speed Zone, features a fairly obscure Canadian truck that was only recently revived. Fans may remember last year when we reported on Superfoot, Richard Arell's truck, making a comeback at the Monster Spectacular in Montreal. However, the original Superfoot makes a brief appearance in the background of these three different shots. In the first shot, you see a mechanic working on the truck to the left of the screen. Just a minute later, shot 2 reveals the truck getting towed away on the trailer in the background. The third and final shot shows it being pulled away from a lower angle. In Police Academy 6, Bigfoot also makes an appearance during these very memorable scenes. It first appears when Moses Hightower, played by Bubba Smith, arrives to collect his fellow policemen inside the iconic Bigfoot truck. They then take chase to this crane vehicle which has a helpless Sergeant Nick Lassard inside the crane platform. When the crane car causes a head-on collision of police vehicles, Moses crushes the cars as they must get to Sergeant. They continue to take chase, but they are soon greeted with a small alleyway and civilian traffic. This won't stop the legendary Bigfoot as they begin crushing the poor civilians' cars in this awesome scene. When the crane car approaches the bridge, Sergeant Lassard must quickly decide how to get out of this situation. He does that by doing an acrobatics routine on one of the poles. Okay then. When the police officers catch up, Lassard flips into the back of the truck, sticking the landing. The truck's final scene sees it following the crane car to its final destination, and one last time when they raid the building in search of the bad guys. As we saw in Monster Man, not every monster truck has a normal truck body, and it's usually something unique, strange, or just downright hilarious. In the Disney film Herbie Fully Loaded, the Herbie car ends up at a demolition derby after losing a pink slips race to NASCAR legend Trip Murphy. When Maggie reunites with Herbie on the demolition field, Herbie helps save her from the monster truck, doing some crazy acrobatics to escape the menacing truck. The monster truck and Herbie race each other around the derby, but it's Maggie and her partner that get the upper hand as they launch off one of the flipped over cars and lands in the conveniently placed truck bed on the back of the monster truck, which then falls apart like a plot for a Fast and Furious film. The truck used in this film is AMPM Boss, with a standard Chevrolet C10 body with horns and a snarling mouth. While this truck is obviously supposed to look intimidating and a little frightening, this next truck is just plain badass. In Knight Rider 2010, John Moore's No Problem switches its iconic Ford Bronco body for this futuristic body that vaguely resembles a Hummer. This truck is prepared for a battle with armor plating, a winch, fuel canisters, and various supplies. Interestingly, at 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 30 seconds into the film, the body of the actual No Problem truck can be seen amongst the wreckage. This wouldn't be the only time a battle-ready truck was used in a film, as the latest two iterations in the Mad Max franchise, including 2024's movie Furiosa, features two iconic Australian monster trucks as part of the villain's team. In Mad Max Fury Road, Shattered Silence and Stress Factor would run the Bigfoot, the name for this intimidating truck. A polished metal body with harpoons and Gatling guns just give this truck an incredible look. It's used throughout the film, most notably in two main scenes, one of which sees Immortan Joe scale the rocks and rubble that blocks this mountain pass, and this stunt which actually retired their chassis. George Miller, the director of this film, was insistent on using as many practical effects as possible, a topic that is mentioned in this great video by And That Was a Show. For that reason, this jump, along with this crash, is entirely practical, with the enemies CGI'd into the scene for obvious reasons. As you can tell, this scene completely destroyed the chassis that was used, that being Stress Factor. In Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, another villain, Dementus, played by Chris Hemsworth, drives an even cooler truck. The 6-foot is a 6-wheeled machine originally owned by Sam Zureb. Samson was converted into this beast, a chassis that originally debuted in 1999 and was run competitively until 2016. The Zurebs converted the truck into the 6-foot for the film and remained under the ownership of them for most of the movie's production. It would, however, eventually be sold off to the film crew and complete its final scenes in the movie, such as the gate crash stunt. Like the previous film, there's a lot of practical stunts the truck did, as well as a little bit of CGI. The most notable scene it had, in my opinion, was the aforementioned gate crash stunt, where the truck knocks down the gate to the bullet farm and climbs over the top of it. Later, there's this scene where it tries to crush Furiosa's car, and while this particular scene used CGI, it was mostly practical, using the CGI to place the car underneath the tires. However, there was one scene that definitely was, well, let's just say there was nothing practical about this one. Interestingly, later on in the film, the Bigfoot makes a return, as the film was a prequel to the events of Fury Road, and this time was run on Michael Zareb's Tropical Thunder truck. This 6-wheeled behemoth is easily one of the coolest and quirkiest trucks that we've highlighted. However, possibly the most bizarre looking trucks that we've looked at today are from this scene from the cult science fiction comedy film Idiocracy. Joe Bowers, played by Luke Wilson, is sentenced to public execution at a monster truck demolition derby. Now, don't worry, the film is called Idiocracy for a reason, as Beef Supreme drives one of the 2 imposing monster trucks. Those trucks have an extremely outlandish design and are given the names Dildozer and Ass Blaster. You cannot make this stuff up. These 2 trucks were run on Cyborg and Tough Enough, which, if you ask me, you couldn't have picked 2 more unique trucks to be casted as these intriguing bodies. These next 2 films feature an ensemble of trucks. In the opening scene for Twister's Revenge, a monster truck rally is taking place featuring a multitude of trucks. Rob Fuchs's First Blood, Mark Benler's Kodiak, Jim Miller's Barbarian, and the film's titular truck, Mr. Twister, which was owned by Dave Stazak, all made an appearance in the film. The Mr. Twister truck is actually one of the main characters of this film, as it turns out that this truck can talk and think for itself. 3 Stooges try to steal the truck, but ultimately end up unsuccessful. Mr. Twister would run for a number of years after the movie, including 2 other rebuilds of this truck. The other movie that features a large number of trucks is the movie Serving Sarah, where the couple of Joe Tyler and Sarah Moore, played by the late Matthew Perry and Elizabeth Hurley, the duo trail to a monster truck rally to find the antagonist of the film, Sarah's soon-to-be ex-husband Gordon. This monster truck rally features a brief appearance by Terry Woodcock's Cyclops, as well as Jake Blackwell's High Pursuit. However, the star truck of the film is, oh dear Lord Jesus, what the hell is that? El Toro Diablo, yes, that is the name of the truck, chases after Joe with his former boss Tony driving the truck. It is short-lived, however, as Tony flips the truck onto Vernon, played by the notable Terry Crews. Interestingly, El Toro Diablo ran for a number of years after the film, minus the absolutely disgusting body used in the film, and later became Blown Income, which was also used in the live-action television film A Fairly Odd Christmas. The film is a sequel to A Fairly Odd Movie and premiered on Nickelodeon in late November of 2012. The truck makes 2 appearances in the film, once at the start where Drake Bell and Daniela Monette grant the wish of this girl who wishes for a real truck, and near the end of the film, one of Santa's elves shows the consequences of granting wishes to children, which takes us back to the girl who crushes a poor civilian's car with ease. Like El Toro Diablo, Blown Income was run for a number of years after its appearance in the film, running all the way until 2019 before being converted into Psychotic. This final segment is going to be a quickfire round. In Blues Brothers 2000, there's a scene where Mongoose and Barbarian crush a row of cars at a fairgrounds. On its own, this scene is pretty standard, but what is most interesting is that this scene has found its way into other movies. In Baby Mama, Amy Poehler can be seen laughing hysterically at the clip of Mongoose driving over the set of Crush Cars. This clip of Mongoose was also used in another film, Joe Dirt, which sees Joe's face CGI'd onto the screen instead. In Armed and Dangerous, Frank Scattini's Big Dummy 2 was featured in the film in this scene, where the driver's tires are slashed after antagonizing Frank Dooley. In the ending scene of Run Ronnie Run, Ronnie turns up in a big blue monster truck, carrying his family and friends, one of which for some reason is in an iron lung machine. This big blue truck is Extreme Whiplash, which later became the first Twisted Addiction. In Beverly Hillbillies, Lily Tomlin and Cloris Thompson attempt to crash the wedding of this soon-to-be wedded couple. After being denied entry initially, the two return with a monster truck, destroying the guest cars in the process. This quirky truck was Skull Crusher, with the iconic 1921 Oldsmobile as the body. In Ace Ventura 2, the legendary Jim Carrey, playing the movie's titular character, has this iconic scene with the truck push and stomp. Vincent Cadby, played by Simon Callow, takes off with this bird cage containing this tribe's bird, stealing one of the patrol vehicles. Ace soon follows, but finds that all cars have no keys except for this one. Cadby is soon caught up with Ventura, who laughs maniacally as Jim Carrey usually does. He even tilts the body up as it's driving, throwing the cigarette lighter into Cadby's car. Eventually, Cadby crashes and Ventura crushes his car before taking chase to Cadby on foot. In Quick Change, Bill Murray's character requests a ransom demand for a multitude of vehicles, including a monster truck. His request is soon met, as the truck Macho Maniac is driven into the city streets to be given to Murray. Later on, when he inquires about the ransom, he deems this unacceptable as he knows the truck doesn't have a tilting body, referring to some of the trucks from this era that did have a tilting body. Macho Maniac is run on top of Bill Weaver Jr.'s legendary truck, Rambo. Another legendary truck made an appearance in the film Twin Cities. Peter and David Paul, two real-life twins playing Peter and David Falcone, are invited to Frank Hillhurst's estate to personally thank the two for their services. Both brothers drive to Hillhurst's estate in a jacked-up red Dodge monster truck. If it looks familiar, that's because it's Fred Schaefer's barefoot display truck, obviously with the barefoot graphics removed. Hillhurst offers the two's protection services to look after his sons, who also happen to be twins, both in the context of the film and real life. The Falcone brothers later in the film decide to take the two boys on a short trip, but are stopped by security. This is only temporary, as they soon crush security's cars and leave the estate on an adventure. The truck makes its final appearance as they pull up to Judy's house with balloons and stuffed animals, with the two boys sleeping in the back of the truck. In The Steel Collar Man, Chuck Mitchell's character Big Jake drives Lil Barefoot, which is referred to as Big Jake's truck in this scene. When they find the protagonist, it appears the truck lifts up into the air and attempts to crush the car. Luckily, our heroes escape, much to the disappointment of Big Jake. Our final movie appearance is from the 2003 French action comedy film Taxi 3. In this scene, this quirky truck appears from inside what appears to be some sort of police station. The truck crushes the car with the 4 passengers surviving. The police officers later take chase as the truck continues to wreak havoc, driving over other civilians' cars in this awesome scene. The truck's final scene shows it driving through someone's backyard through this older couple's house. The police are still keeping chase until they lose the truck and get knocked into the pool. But rewind just a little and you will see probably the coolest Easter egg in any of these films. On the TV screen, the couples are initially watching a car crash, but when the Taxi 3 truck drives through their home, Inferno can be seen driving on their TV. When the police drive through, Inferno mysteriously disappears. What's even more awesome is that this scene with Inferno is actually footage from the 2002 Monster Jam event in Paris, which was the first international Monster Jam show in history. Not much footage exists of this show, only a couple of photos and this fan footage, but this scene shows us that this event may have been shown on French TV. In the most interesting turn of events, when I started putting this video together, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson announced at the D23 Expo that there will be a Monster Jam movie produced by 7 Bucks Studios, Dwayne's production company, and Walt Disney Studios. This live-action film will star The Rock as the main role and will mark the first time the sport itself will be the primary premise of a film. It's not the first time there has been plans for a Monster Jam movie, as there was planned to be a film in 2003, but was cancelled for unknown reasons. If you'd like to find out more about what we know about the film so far, click here. And well, that is all we have for you today. Tune in next time for a part 2 as we talk about the wonderful world of monster trucks in TV shows, sitcoms, reality shows, and so much more. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon with some more monster truck content. And cut.